I'd like to welcome everybody to today's call. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Green, and I am the Acting Director of ICAP, the Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program. First, I'd like to start off by thanking all of our current partners. I've seen quite a few who are joining in today and showing their support. I'd also like to thank all of our guest speakers today and those of you who are joining in just to learn more. Our goal for this afternoon is to provide you all an overview of ICAP, a brief one, share a little bit about our impact, and hear from some of our partners, and even from one of our ICAP clients. We'll get what I'm sure will be a wonderful update from CIT, and then talk a little bit about how you all can either partner or expand your partnership with ICAP. For those of you who are just now learning about the ICAP program, I wanted to provide a brief summary. We offer assistance to early stage technology and product companies with programming that is based off of the lean startup methodology. We help companies create successful business models and go-to-market strategy through customer discovery. According to CB Insights, the #1 reasons that startups fail is that they create a product that nobody actually wants. ICAP teaches entrepreneurs the art of customer discovery, which enhances their ability to create a product that fits a specific market need. We work with teams just beyond the idea on a napkin stage, all the way through those that are making some initial sales. We currently offer a 100-level program that is then followed by long-term counseling to help keep companies on track and also provide ongoing support. We're excited. ICAP will soon be launching a 200-level program for companies that are further along. That is about as brief of a summary as I could provide about ICAP. But if you have questions that you want answered today, please feel free to add them to the chat box, and I will make sure to address all of them at the very end. Now I'd like to introduce Jody Keenan, the State Director of the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network, to say a few words.
Here we go. Good afternoon. I'm Jody Keenan. Thank you, Josh, for organizing the briefing today, and thank you everyone for joining us. We are really, really proud of our ICAP program and what has happened and what it has done over the past 2.5 years. It is a specialty service of the Virginia SBDC network, and we are indebted, honestly, to the many partners on this call and potentially new partners across the Commonwealth who have helped us make it so successful. Since January of 2018, ICAP has worked with over 375 teams through 35 cohorts, and we've done these across the state. These teams have gone on to receive over $20 million in funding, and that represents an impressive and enviable 20-to-1 impact to dollars that we've invested in delivering the programs. So we are, as you can imagine, just thrilled with the success and the opportunity as well. We are, because it's part of the SBDC network, we feel like we're uniquely positioned to add this resource across the state and to provide additional value and enhance local resource offerings that you or your partners may be envisioning or already working on and deploying. So we've seen, as I mentioned, so many wonderful partnerships grow through the addition of ICAP, and we're really looking forward to expanding on that. We deliver ICAP from funding that's made possible through George Mason, the Virginia SBDC, and the SBA. We're hoping that you find today's call valuable and intriguing, and invite you to reach out to either me or Josh if you feel there are ways that we can work better or work with you for mutual benefit in your communities or with your constituent businesses. With that, I will throw it back to Josh and look forward to the rest of the program. Thanks.
Thank you, Jody. So prior to COVID-19, ICAP held exclusively in-person cohorts and at 10 different locations throughout Virginia with the assistance of just over 40 participating partners. We also had some new locations that were lined up for 2020. For these in-person programs, the host would market the cohort to their local network, provide a room for us to meet, parking, lunch on the first day, and the ICAP team would coordinate everything else. As everyone else has had to do recently, we pivoted to begin delivering our content virtually. But in moving the content online, we were able to serve a wider audience, becoming available to companies really anywhere in Virginia, while still being a benefit to local partners on that local partner level. We just finished our first virtual program in May, and it was very exciting to see that transition online, and we were very happy to see that it was a very successful cohort. This included teams from all over Virginia, which again, from the very first cohort, showcased the benefit of going virtual. Another benefit is that we were also able to start offering industry-specific programming built within each cohort. So this began with that first May cohort with a cybersecurity subgroup, and that was done in partnership with the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative. These teams were grouped with a single adjunct instructor to get focused direction, as well as enhanced peer-to-peer interaction. Moving forward, we will host more 100-level programs throughout the year. Our next will be next month in July with a deadline of June 21st. And then we will have programs in September and November as well. Cybersecurity will continue to be a focus for us, and we will add other industry-specific groups as time goes on, including pandemic response. As you can see from the calendar, we have a number of programs throughout the rest of the year, and I've also included the 200-level program mentioned earlier that will start this fall. As we continue to grow ICAP and expand our offerings, we are looking to form new partnerships and offer the program to even more companies, while being able to continue to play a key role in local startup ecosystems. For example, some of the ways that we can partner is ICAP can be a resource for local accelerators to refer companies that weren't selected for a program because they aren't able to take everyone. We are also able to make referrals to those same accelerators with ICAP clients and our clients that have gone through our introductory course. ICAP can even be part of a due diligence process for local investors or EDAs. Ultimately, we are looking for you and your organizations as partners in this endeavor to let us know where and how we can provide you value. Since we are very fortunate to have a number of longstanding partners, as well as some new ones, we wanted to allow them the opportunity to share their experience working with ICAP and how it can be for mutual benefit. First, I would like to introduce Evans McMillian from 757 Accelerate. She is their executive director, and along with Nancy Gurdon at ODU, she has been one of our strongest and most active partners and supporters from the very beginning. So Evans, I will pass it over to you.
This is Ian Frazier. I'm actually the program manager of 757 Accelerate. Evans is on the way to North Carolina right now.
Would you want to share just a little bit about how you and I have worked together?
Yeah, so Josh and I have been collaborating both with programming and sort of sourcing startups. Right now, we are in the process of recruiting for our fall cohort. 757 is a mentor-driven program.
Definitely appreciate, Ian, you letting us know. I will move on to our next speaker, Aaron Powell from Lighthouse Labs in Richmond, who is their executive director. Aaron is one of our newest partners, and I will pass it over to her.
Well, as Josh mentioned, we are one of the newest partners for the ICAP program. I actually started in the role of executive director April 1st. So as Josh mentioned at the beginning of the call, our typical cohort would last 12 weeks. But because of the global pandemic, we had made a decision in April to go ahead and offer a condensed program and to have that program be exclusively virtual. And, similarly to ICAP, Lighthouse's programs have oftentimes been highly relational. We had never done anything virtually before. And so what we decided to offer was a 5-week program as opposed to our typical 12-week program. And we decided for the first week to open that up to people that may not have normally gotten into the accelerator program. And so we're excited to say that we will have 59 over 103 founders that will be on our first week of programming, starting next week on Monday. And we are calling that the Startup Sprint. And the focus of our entire 5-week program is on customer validation and acquisition. We see this as, as Josh mentioned, it's the #1 reason that companies fail. They haven't done the proper due diligence for customer validation and customer strategy for go-to-market. And so we're really hoping that these early founders can learn the skills necessary to figure out their customer validation for their particular product. So like I mentioned, the first week we'll have over 100 founders that are going to be participating in the program, representing 59 companies. So ICAP will manage that for us. They have done all of the organizing and scheduling for those companies, which has been just such a tremendous help to our teams. So like most accelerators, we operate with a lean staff. And so the extra help with our programmatic efforts from ICAP is certainly really welcomed, and we're very excited about it. So after the first week, we had pre-selected 7 companies that will continue on through a program that we are calling the Startup Intensive. And so those 7 companies will really be able to pull the themes out of the first week and really apply those themes into their own businesses. So in addition to getting curriculum from from ICAP, they will also be assigned an ICAP mentor who will help them one-on-one with their particular business and coming up with their customer acquisition strategy. We have married the second part of this program with Lighthouse Labs mentors. So, it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid approach for these founders. They're kind of getting a 2-for-1 where they're getting the ICAP mentors to help with customer validation, and they're getting a Lighthouse lead mentor to help with other areas of their business that they may have a need. And so the culmination of the 5-week program will actually end in a customer demo day. So typically our accelerator ends in an investment demo day or a pitch day where companies are able to see, their idea accelerated over the course of 12 weeks and pitch for investment. But we felt like with the condensed duration of the program, as well as the extreme focus on customer validation, that a customer demo day would be more appropriate and would be a great precursor to any of these startups having conversations with investors. So, the other benefit to the ICAP program is that their mentors will be working with our founders even after the program ends. And so we decided to push our customer demo day to be a couple of weeks after the end of our formal program. So that will give the ICAP mentors and the founders some time to really be able to digest what they've learned, make tweaks and changes based on the curriculum and also the customer discovery interviews that our founders will be conducting, and really be able to present their learnings on that customer day. So, as with most accelerator programs, it's a little bit of chicken and egg because we know these founders. and we're trying to envision what they're going to need for this program. But we certainly know that they are going to need help with customer validation and customer acquisition. And we're excited to see the progress that they're going to make over the course of the 5 weeks. And August 12th is going to be the date of the customer demo day. So if you follow Lighthouse on social media or LinkedIn, or if you're a part of our mailing list, be on the lookout for an invitation to that demo day. We would love to be able to share what we learned. So we're really excited and really thankful for the opportunity to partner.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. We are very excited to be working with you and the rest of the Lighthouse Lab folks on this upcoming program. Now I'd like to introduce Evan and Dustin from Local Food Network. They participated in our first ICAP cohort back in January of 2018. I'm very excited for them to share their story. We strive to replicate their level of success with all of our clients who are ready to put in the work and listen to what the market is telling them. So gentlemen, I will pass it over to you.
Hey Josh, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great, well thanks for having us, and thanks for listening to our story. So my name is Dustin Valleys, and my role at Local Food Network is actually the customer discovery and validation lead. So we're kind of in that early customer acquisition stage. So that's my role, is to sit down with these early evangelist customers and listen to them and kind of adjust our course accordingly. So what we do is we reduce the friction for wholesale stakeholders to buy and sell local food. So you can think of a chef working with multiple farmers at your favorite restaurant, or a grocery buyer working with local distributors. Ultimately, we help them have their communication and ordering of local food all in one place. And Evan, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Of course. Yeah, my name is Evan Grundy, and I'm the engineer here at Local Food Network, where my job is to not just engineer things, but to actually work closely with Dustin and customers to iteratively build software that actually delivers value to stakeholders in the local food supply chain. Dustin, I'll let you take it to the next step, and I'll take it home later on.
Okay, that sounds good. So as Josh mentioned, we went through ICAP in February of 2018. And our story that's kind of intertwined with ICAP started in late 2017. So what that was Evan and I, we began with a software company called Food from Friends. It was essentially an online marketplace for home gardeners to buy and sell local food. And our game plan at that time was to build the product and then ship it off to these early prospect users that we introduced ourselves to. It was also during that time we was basically introduced to the ICAP team and went through their program. What we learned initially through the first week of the program was the important vocabulary words. There were more than that, but we learned what customer acquisition cost was, lifetime values, basically how valuable were these gardeners to us through time, and most importantly, we learned about customer discovery and basically being the backbone of collecting data about the market that we were trying to address. What we ended up doing was we realized that we weren't solving a hair and fire problem. So we found out that these home gardeners that we sat down and had coffee with, or that we knocked on their door and introduced ourselves to, they weren't interested in buying and selling their food. They were interested in just giving it away. So we decided that we're going to scale up our interviews to the customer discovery process. And instead of talking to gardeners, we're going to talk to farmers or go talk to distributors, which then kind of led us down the supply chain all the way to wholesale buyers from retail outlets, but also restaurants. So the big pivot that we made kind of after those interviews and kind of some failed experiments along the way and kind of validating and proving different hypotheses wrong, is we pivoted away from Food from Friends and we turned into Local Food Network, where we focus on wholesale stakeholders within the local food system. So we have early customers and some early users that represent independent grocery stores that we work with, as well as local distributors, farmers, and even a few membership organizations that are kind of a combination of the two. So Evan, do you want to share some more of our recent developments?
Sure. Yeah. So in the past year in particular, we've kind of honed in and dialed down on a core customer segment that we can bring value to solve a hair on fire problem and make some money along the way. And we actually just started last week a local accelerator program in the Roanoke and Blacksburg area called RAMP. And with RAMP, we're hoping to accelerate our growth and go from being just a customer validated product to an actual profitable company. And ICAP was crucial back in the day to get us on and stay on this track of customer driven development. Back in 2018, when we had that first cohort, like Dustin said, we were really focused on just building product and executing our vision upon the world. And we learned the hard way that business doesn't really work that way. And we really view ICAP as a game changer that saved us from our own tunnel vision. It taught us to identify, learn about, and actually understand our customers and the concept of value propositions. ICAP basically got us out of our own echo chamber and into the real world, getting to know stakeholders and potential customers. Since the cohort 2 years ago, we've had regular calls with our advisor, David Perkins, who's been instrumental in bringing clarity to a journey that for both Dustin and myself has pretty much been uncharted waters. It's tough to navigate all the intricacies of running a startup, and we could not have done it without the ICAP team early on in establishing a set of guidelines and core principles to follow. And we really anticipate our relationship with David, Josh, and Bob Smith to last for the long haul. We know that going forward, they each have our backs as we continue to ramp up and go to market and start to scale. We count on our advisors to, help us make connections, check our blind spots, and ultimately steer us in the right direction as a company. So yeah, with all that said, I'd certainly recommend ICAP to entrepreneurs who are serious about growing sound, impactful, profitable businesses. Josh, that pretty much concludes our little overview, and I'll hand it back to you.
Awesome. Again, I'd like to thank you both and the entire ICAP team, some of whom are on this call. We're all very proud of you two and the work that you've been able to accomplish. And we absolutely look forward to continuing to work with you and seeing what comes from all of your next steps. Now I'd like to introduce Tom Weichman and Bob Stolle from CIT to share some updates and their perspective on the entrepreneurial landscape in the Commonwealth. So Tom and Bob, if I will pass it over to you.
All right, thanks, Josh. This is Bob Stolle, and I'll take the first portion of this and then pass it over to Tom. But Josh, thank you for this, and we have had a tremendous relationship with ICAP, with GMU for a number of years now. We look forward to continuing that and helping to provide programs. We've been working with Erin at Lighthouse Labs to assist in bringing the ICAP program to the group, the large group that she's going to have here in the next week or so. And so thank you for that. And Jody, thank you for the SBDC. We're happy to have Sean Mallon with us, your former colleague there at George Mason and ICAP. And so he's working with us in the development of the ecosystem. But just as an update, on where we are, the legislation that had really been worked on for a couple of years was passed in this last session of the General Assembly. And many of you have spent time working with Robbie DeMaria and participating in roundtable discussions and individual meetings to help shape the new Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority. The budget was also approved, but for those of you familiar with the legislative process, once session starts, the legislation heads off in one direction and the budget heads off in a totally other direction, handled by different people. And so that's, of course, what happened. Robbie now is with the company Flow. He's helping to helping the country to develop the basic pharmaceuticals and chemicals that we need to be able to fight future pandemics or viruses such as COVID-19. But if Robbie was here, one of the things that he would certainly say is that, he was not necessarily happy with the budget. As I said, the legislation passed without any issues whatsoever. The budget to fund all of the programs in the legislation had more difficulties. And so, it is not funded at the level that Robbie hoped it would be, but I think we've got, sufficient funds and support for programs that it's going to be a great step in the right direction and continue working. The big challenge, of course, is that in August, there will be probably a reforecast of the revenue for the Commonwealth, and based on that, there will probably be a special session of the General Assembly where they'll take a look at all of the funding associated with any programs, and certainly including VIPA. So, we don't feel that, right now we are out of the woods when it comes to the budget. At this point, typically in a fiscal year, we're able to say here, we're going to get started on some of these programs, but that's just not where we are this year. So we're still in something of a holding pattern, but at CIT, we have been involved in a transition process for the last few months, working closely with Robbie and others with the regional ecosystems. And part of that transition process is helping to put some meat on the bones of the organization that was passed by the General Assembly, the new VIPA. Also, part of that process from the administration's perspective is identifying the new board members. Clearly, the VIPA, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, in addition to CIT, there is the Commonwealth Center for CCAM, Commonwealth Center for Advanced Manufacturing, CCALS, Commonwealth Center for Advanced Logistics. There is CCI, and other programs, VBHRC, the Catalyst, all under the VIPA umbrella. So we're in the process of working to consolidate all of those under that umbrella and to make sure that we're ready for July 1st. On the positive side, there's built-in overlap between programs and between the boards. Our Innovation and Entrepreneurship Investment Authority, the board that CIT works for, does not go away, nor does the Virginia Research Investment Committee until January. So we've got overlap between existing programs and existing boards so that the new VIPA board, once it's appointed, does not immediately have to meet July 1st and start making decisions. As I said, the administration, I think based on the feedback that Robbie got, I think he had asked for folks to send resumes and apply for positions or the board positions, and I think they got about 30 responses. The administration's in the process of reviewing those. The governor's got 6 appointments. The joint rules over at House or at the legislative branch has 3 appointments, and there are 2 other that are statutorily appointed. And we CIT are not involved in that process, but certainly, we are working on transition, on working. CIT will be the managing nonprofit for the new Virginia Innovation Partnership Authority, and so we are trying to get the infrastructure in place to make sure that we can support that. The divisions within the new VIPA will be the investment division, which will be built on top of currently the GAP Fund. Tom can talk more about it, but the GAP Fund and the Virginia Founders Fund and other direct investment. We've got the commercialization division, which will be built on top of the current Commonwealth Research Commercialization Fund. We have a 4th division. I'll get back to the 3rd one, but we've got a 4th division called Strategic Initiatives, where CIT programs such as unmanned systems, smart communities, our program with Department of Homeland Security on first responder technology, all of those are in that division. The one division that there really is no legacy program for is the new entrepreneurial ecosystem division. And unlike the other divisions, the ecosystems division is really created to provide infrastructure and support directly for regional ecosystems across the Commonwealth. We intend to have minimal staffing for that, probably just 1 or 2 at the most at CIT, because the real experts on that are the folks that are currently running the regional ecosystems and the great programs that already exist around the Commonwealth. We want to work with them. We want to contract with them for infrastructure items that the Commonwealth needs. And our goal there is not to work necessarily directly with entrepreneurs or founders, but to work with the regional ecosystems that are providing the support. Along those lines, we're building directly on top of the work that Robbie did. As most of you know, Robbie spent over a year and hundreds of meetings, including roundtable discussions in every region to help identify what the needs are, what the priorities are within the regions. He created the innovation report, which is available on the Secretary of Commerce and Trade's website. And our goal is to pick up where that ended. So we have been having, Sean and I have been having a series of discussions, Ed Albrigo, our CEO as well, a series of discussions with folks, many of you that are on this call right now, and thank you very much for participating. But it's a matter of how do we begin the implementation now? We know what's needed. We hope to know soon what the budget's going to look like. We know what the legislation requires of us now. We want to start the activity associated with launching these programs. And so that's where we are with ecosystems. All of this will become, the VIPA will become a legal entity, part of the Code of Virginia, starting on July 1st. Again, the budget that we have will be available to VIPA, to CIT through VIPA on July 1st as well. But we are certainly expecting that between July and probably December that there will be some work that will help us smoothly transition, seamlessly transition between the current programs under the VIPA umbrella and the new one. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that someone might have, or, please feel free to contact me and I can provide additional information. If you'd like for us, we're not by any stretch done with the discussions within the regions. We certainly initially planned to have these face-to-face, but, the Zoom meetings are working out very well also. But again, any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or later.
All right, and I think we'll pass it over to Tom.
Thanks, Josh, and thanks, Bob, for a great overview of VIPA. I'm not going to take a couple of minutes of commentary here. Josh asked me to provide commentary on the entrepreneurial environment and investor environment in the Commonwealth as we see it, and I can do that through the narrow lens of what we do with CIT GAP funds. First, thanks to Josh and Jody and others for a great partnership with ICAP, a great source of deal referrals, and hopefully we have also shared referrals back to the services that you provide so invaluably to Virginia's entrepreneurs. With so much uncertainty in the environment, we heard from Bob, uncertainty about the budget and programs, they continue to evolve, uncertainty led by COVID, uncertainty in the public stock markets. The one thing I'm certain is that it is a great time to be optimistic, and I hope you will share my optimism about the entrepreneurial landscape in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have had a great past couple of years with the GAP Fund and investing all across the Commonwealth. We've been at this now, hard to imagine, for 15 years and invested in 220 some deals around Virginia. About 80 of those have been in cybersecurity. I know, Josh, that's an important area for you guys moving forward and certainly should be a robust sector for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And in developing these deals, we haven't done it in a vacuum. We haven't done it without many of the great ecosystem partners that are sitting around the table here today, members of, the people that are staffing accelerators around the Commonwealth and entrepreneurship centers at Virginia's universities and great investment partners that we have around the Commonwealth. One of the things that we're measured on, one of the numbers we're most proud of, is our ability to attract private money into the Commonwealth and into high growth companies. We've done that over the years. Now we've brought, in connection with our entrepreneurial partners, $1 billion worth of capital onto the balance sheets of our portfolio companies. And much of it from outside the Commonwealth of Virginia, but that is a great testimony to what we have going on here in Virginia. Our investments, as you know, span the entirety of the Commonwealth. We've invested virtually all over Virginia. Actually, this past year, for the first time, we did more investments outside of Northern Virginia than in Northern Virginia. So that's definitely turning a page and speaks to the vibrancy of entrepreneurship across the Commonwealth. Things continue strong with our VFF, our Virginia Founders Fund, which we started in 2018 to shine a spotlight on investments in traditionally underserved demographic and geographic populations around the Commonwealth. Things have gone very well there. This past year, we kicked off what we kind of call informally the Virginia Angel Network. This is a great group of folks that meet on a conference call once a month. We've been doing this for about 1.5 years now to exchange information about deal flow and deal terms, share information about other third-party investment sources that we can bring into deals. We've got some great folks involved with that, including Shenandoah Valley Angels, Charlottesville Angel Network, 757 Angels, CAV, now Riverflow, Trolley Car, Commonwealth Angels down in Roanoke, and many, many others. And I've had the opportunity over the last several months, last handful of months, especially since about mid-March, to talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, many in our active portfolio of 130 companies, and many other investors, not just in Virginia, but within the region and really across the country. I had the opportunity to interact with the National Venture Capital Association, the membership of the Mid-Atlantic Venture Association, and various folks at ACA, the Angel Capital Association as well. And there's a lot of uncertainty out there, there's no question. I'm having as hard a time as anyone else at making sense of what's going on in public markets and the apparent disconnect between the frothiness there and the macroeconomic picture, which remains, as I say, uncertain and questionable. And that, without question, has an impact on the investment books turn, on their ability to write checks into small checks into small ventures, turns on how other parts of their portfolio are performing. And I think we have a lot of unknowns at this time. I won't even attempt to opine on where public or private markets are headed, but I think we can say with assurance that early stage capital is unlikely to become more plentiful, or that there would be a big rush of early stage capital in where there hasn't been in the past. And my advice to entrepreneurs is to plan on things of entrepreneurs, incumbent upon other investment sources to keep things going. We've got some great angel investment sources around the Commonwealth, and I know they're working hard to keep things going and continue to look at companies. For our part, we are actively in the market. At the front end of this thing, I couldn't have imagined writing a check to a company whose management team I had not met with. We're moving beyond that. We have to move beyond that. It does place primacy on a long diligence process. It places primacy on the references of the teams coming in, of syndicating with other trusted partners who may have knowledge of the teams, and for additional background check, for additional meetings with the entrepreneurs. But we're in the market. We're going to stay in the market, and we're going to continue to do new deals. We're excited about that. So some of the other things that we're doing, we can't get out the way we'd like to as an investment team. We don't maintain the travel schedule now that we were a few short months ago, but we are trying to get out there in a variety of ways, including our bi-weekly series, Coffee with CIT Gap Funds. So many of you have participated in that, where we are trying to build up not only sources of deal flow for us, but kind of a self-instructive entrepreneurial network around the Commonwealth of service providers and entrepreneurs that can learn from each other. We've been very active at the front end of the PPP program in helping to instruct companies, not only in our portfolio, but across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Again, uncertainty in terms of private equity sources in some quarters, but I think this again places more importance on some of the other things that you see CIT doing, certainly federal programs, but some of the things you see the Commonwealth doing, some of which are within CIT. Bob talked about the commercialization division that has the CRCF fund, non-dilutive funding sources for companies. Robert Brook works for my colleague Bob, and Robert does a great job in shepherding companies through the SBIR STTR process. Again, great non-dilutive funding sources. So we remain excited about the prospects for the Commonwealth going forward. We've got a great industrial infrastructure, great spirit among our entrepreneurs, and great folks like y'all sitting around the table to help them. Josh, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, both Tom and Bob. We appreciate your updates, and we're also very appreciative of the continued support from CIT to ICAP as it grows and expands. So as promised, I wanted to keep this a short opportunity for you all to learn about ICAP, hear some updates from CIT, and hopefully see how ICAP can be a positive addition to your local entrepreneurial ecosystem. I'd like to thank again all of our guest speakers and our current partners for their time and support. If I've done my job well, I'm sure you will have interest in how you can either start a partnership with ICAP or expand your current partnership. I've put a couple of next steps on the screen. First, you can email me, and we can connect individually to discuss how to further either our current partnership or set up our initial. And I see, Evans, you have joined us. I'll say hello. By no means do you have to speak, but welcome to the call.
Thanks, Josh. I just want to say, put us on the list. 757 Accelerate and the whole 757 ecosystem have been incredible recipients of the ICAP program. We partnered with ODU and NSU and other folks in the 757 to create a regular cadence of ICAP programs as an accelerator. So we have one every quarter. We just started doing them virtually, as I'm sure has been explained on this call. But we've worked really well together, and it's helped us create a healthy pipeline of pre-acceleration programming. It's helped us identify companies that are ripe and ready for acceleration or ready for other programs like the ones they're running at ODU and NSU, and where can we plug them in. And Nancy Gurdon and I have talked about this many times, but I don't think there are many systematic customer discovery, customer feedback processes that are replicable, whether the folks decide, as the local food network folks said, are we really solving a hair on fire problem? Whether they decide they're solving the right problem or this is the startup for them. The process that ICAP helps them build has been incredible for all of us to build on. So I couldn't say enough about the value they've added to our ecosystem and to the accelerator as a pre-acceleration program, and also as a feeder and a source of great deal flow. And then the counselors and the mentors have also stepped in and helped us with adding their value along the way to the startups. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's been a great partnership for us, and I would think it would be for any accelerator director.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Evans. I really appreciate you making the effort to jump on with everything else that you have going on right now. So getting back to our wrap-up summary, if you would like to reach out to me via email to set up a time to connect individually, I'm happy to talk about how we can either set up or expand our existing partnership. Feel free to email me any announcements or any information that you would like for me to distribute to our active teams. I can also add you or your organization to our partner distribution list so that you can receive updates about programmings that we have coming up, and we would ask that you share those with your network. We also greatly appreciate if you have a company that is a technology or product company that you feel would benefit from our program, to make the introduction and we can get them into our pipeline. Above all though, please just let us know how we can help or what we can do to provide value to you and your startup ecosystem. I will send out a follow-up email shortly after the call with all of these next steps, as well as a survey for us to learn more if We should continue to have calls like this in the future and other ways for us to be able to serve your communities. Again, I'd like to thank everybody who joined in today. Feel free to depart if you need to. I'm also happy to answer any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will pull up the chat, which I haven't been monitoring, but I will make sure to answer any questions. And again, thank you all for joining us.